Join my Discord server, the link is down in the description. Hey guys, before we get into this video, I'd appreciate if you guys could go check out this guy right here called Rip My Leg. This guy helps me out with pretty much every single video I make, so definitely go check his channel out. And also check out this person right here called Exonova, who is a person who's a good friend of mine, and they've been trying to get rid of a lot of the toxicity surrounding my name, so definitely check them out too. And also check out this person here, Game Code Champion. They are a staff member in my server, and I've known them for a long time, so definitely go ahead and show these three YouTubers some support, guys. The link to their channels are down inside of the description. Yo, what's up, you absolute legends? Welcome to this video, everybody. In this video, I'm going to be going over 5 of the worst mythical weapons that you probably shouldn't get in Pixel Gun 3D. And the way that I got all these weapons on this list was I asked my Discord server, so it is partially my opinion as well as most of the people in my Discord server. We all gathered our opinions and we put them together, and the most frequent weapons that were mentioned I put on this list. And so I did go ahead and I tested out each individual weapon, which took me about an hour and a half. I had to go and I had to test 45 different weapons, and the ones that I found were the worst, or just acted the worst in general, were the ones that I put on this list. So I don't want anybody to be offended by these. These are just the weapons that I did test, and I did ask for my Discord server, and this is the list that we came up with. So alrighty guys, I don't want to delay you guys from watching the video any longer, so if you do enjoy it, make sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel, because I do post videos every single day. And let me know down in the comments what you guys have to say, and let's go ahead and get into it.
Check this.
So the first weapon that we're going to be talking about in this video is called the Spruce pistol. So let's go ahead and take a look at the stats of the weapon here before we start talking about why it's bad. So for me at least, this weapon is a level 65. It has a capacity of 10, a fire rate of 94, and a mobility of 65. Its efficiency is 423, and it is a backup weapon of the mythical tier. It is a single shot weapon, and it has burning and area damage as its two main effects. Now, this weapon seems overall like a really good style backup weapon, and it seems like it would do a lot of damage. Well, that's what a lot of people think before they actually go ahead and buy the weapon. Now, why is this weapon actually bad? Well, no matter what you do, this weapon is going to be a 4 or 5 shot to the body, and that all depends on how much you have it upgraded and the best modules that you have on it. For example, my friend here, Rip My Leg, who helps me with all my videos, has it on a level 65 on mythical tier, of course, with I believe a level 6 or level 7 magic module, and the weapon only 4 shots or 5 shots to the body. And you don't get any difference in headshot damage, as it is an area damage weapon. For those of you guys who don't know, if a weapon has an area damage effect, it won't really do any damage difference between the head and the body, as it is just an area damage weapon, and it just has an area of effect. And that's how this weapon is. You can't get any bonus for headshot damage because of the fact that it is an area damage weapon, and because it's only a 4 or 5 shot, you really aren't going to be doing that much damage. Along with that, you run out of ammo so fast that if you were just to main this weapon, you would have to completely kill yourself over and over again just to get ammo over and over again, as you can see my teammate doing here. Along with that, it has a really slow travel time, which overall makes this weapon super bad, and it's really hard to use for most people. Next up, guys, we're going to be talking about this weapon here, which is called the Gladiator. Now, let's take a look at these stats, but before we do that, just take a look at this weapon, guys. It looks like something that a 3-year-old put together using pencils, duct tape, and grandma's fan, and they just put it all together onto a weapon and called it the Gladiator. It's like something you would use in your imagination. So overall, it looks kind of weird, but I guess it looks alright. So the weapon itself has a fire rate of 87, a capacity of 14, and a mobility of 65. So this is a pretty normal statistics for a sniper weapon like this. It has piercing shot, meaning that you can shoot through 2 enemies at once if you are able to, although it does not have wall break. It has lifesteal, and it has slow down the target effect, so both those two effects, lifesteal and slow down the target, are very minuscule on this weapon. In fact, the slowdown effect is so unnoticeable that all it really does is affect your jump height by ever so slight amount, and so this weapon, guys, doesn't really do much on the slowdown effect. Now, on top of that, it sort of has it kind of has an ironic meaning. The slowdown effect kind of could take effect to its bullet. In fact, the bullet itself shoots so slow that it would take about 5 seconds for it to go across a map. Now, most snipers are incident, meaning that if you shoot the weapon, it would appear across the entire other side of the map within just a millisecond, and that is not how this weapon is. For example, this ghost town map here, if you were to take it and shoot it from one side of the map to the other, it would probably take around 3 to 5 seconds, which is crazy. That's a lot of slow travel time for a weapon that is this expensive and hard to get. In fact, if you were to try and use this up close with someone, all you would have to do is do really slight movements side to side, and you would barely get hit by it, as you guys can see here. It's just overall not an easy weapon to use. Next up, guys, we're going to be talking about this weapon here, which is called the anime Scythe. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the statistics of the weapon. Now, ignore the fact that what level it is on, as I did have to find somebody who had this weapon because theirs was on level 65 and mine wasn't, so I'm not going to be judging this weapon on the damage, but I'll be judging it on how it functions. So just know that it has nothing to do with the damage here, because again, mine is not a level 65. So immediately looking at the statistics, it has a fire rate of 67, a capacity of 1, and a mobility of 65. It has single shots, piercing shot, which means that you can shoot through 2 enemies at once, like I previously mentioned. And also has lifesteal, meaning that whenever you hit someone, you can take some of their life away. Now, despite all of these statistics seeming pretty good, this weapon does not function that well. In fact, the lifesteal is the only thing that probably makes this weapon even usable. If you hit somebody, you do get a significant amount of your health back, which is one positive thing about this weapon. However, it doesn't function very well. The weapon itself has an extremely slow travel time, and it takes up a huge portion of your screen. I mean, just look how huge that thing is in his hands. It's almost like he's holding Thanos's arm. So obviously, guys, this weapon is just completely massive, and if you're holding it in your hand on screen, it takes up most of your screen, and it has a really slow travel time, so you can't really see anything on your screen. And if you're trying to shoot somebody with it, the only time you'd ever be able to hit them is up close. As you guys can see here, I'm doing very basic strafing movements, and all you have to do is move side to side slightly, and then they'll just start shooting at you and they'll miss all their shots. On top of that, you run out of ammo really fast with this weapon, so you constantly have to be looking for more ammo. And with a lot of weapons, you're not supposed to have to look for ammo every 10 seconds, but with this one, you do, especially if you're just spamming it over and over again, unable to hit your shots with it, as it is really hard to hit your shots with. So overall, it's kind of a decent weapon because of the fact that it has lifesteal, but it doesn't really function that well. So next up, guys, we'll be talking about this weapon here, which is called the Professional Bow. Now, I know what you guys are probably thinking. It's not that bad because it is a 2-shot to the body, and, well, you're kind of right in a way. It does have a pretty decent damage, but the weapon is hard to use, which I'll talk about after. It has a fire rate of 67, which is pretty slow for a sniper, a capacity of 1, which also is pretty slow, or pretty bad for a sniper, rather, and a mobility of 50, which is also pretty slow for a sniper. Some snipers do have around that 50 mobility range, but I do like snipers that, preferably for me, I like snipers that are around 50 to 65, and this one's on the low side, so I personally wouldn't use this one regularly. It has an area damage effect, which is very slight, but I'll talk about it afterwards. It has a charge shot and also has single shots, so you have to charge up this weapon in order to use it, and you can only shoot it 1 shot at a time, which, you know, is sort of normal, I guess, if you think about the charge rifle. The charge rifle, you have to charge up and then shoot once, then that's normal. So why do I think that this weapon is bad? Well, it's extremely hard to use because of its travel time. It's extremely unpredictable. The less you charge it up, the more travel time it will have. The more you charge it up, the more travel time that it won't have. So if you think about it, if you charge this weapon up all the way, it'll have a relatively low travel time. But if you just tap the bullet, like the shoot button, it'll have an extremely slow travel time. And honestly, you can never predict exactly how much travel time it's going to have. And because of that, shot accuracy is extremely inconsistent. Most people just don't really keep track of how long they're holding the thing for unless it's all the way up, and even with that, it still becomes unpredictable. So this weapon overall is just hard to use, especially at long range. So next up, guys, we're going to be talking about this weapon here, which is called the Amazon's Sharp Ring. So let's go ahead and take a look at the statistics of the weapon. This Beyblade looking thing has a fire rate of 80, a capacity of 15, and a mobility of 65. It looks like a frisbee but with blades on the end, and it's kind of really weird to think about because if you were holding it in the middle, how would you even use it? The blade would probably hit the back of your wrist or the underside of your wrist, so how would you hold it? The only way I could even think of holding this weapon, you'd have to hold your wrist vertical and throw it. I don't know, the way that it functions just seems like it wouldn't really work out. However, this weapon has a fire rate, like I said, of 80, which is really good, and the capacity of 15 is also pretty good. However, the mobility of 65 is pretty low considering how small and insignificant this weapon seems to be. Since it seems to be so light, why does it only have a capacity of 65? Well, it also has ricochet, bleeding, and piercing shot. So ricochet is pretty good because you can bounce it off the walls, and piercing is good because you can shoot through 2 enemies, and bleeding is also good. So why do these things seem like it would make the weapon be good, but the weapon is actually bad? Well, the weapon, let me get this straight. This weapon has great damage. It does 1 shot to the head and 2 shot to the body. However, those shots can only be obtained unless the person is standing still or if they're extremely close to you. So if you're at a really far distance, all the person has to do is move out of the way ever so slightly, and they'll just not get hit by it. Unless you're strafing back and forth in a really predictable pattern is the only time you'll be able to hit somebody with these. So it's just really bad for travel time reasons. So just as a bonus weapon that I wanted to talk about, or more of like an honorable mention, I just wanted to mention this weapon here, which is called the Inevitability. So this weapon has a fire rate of 78, a capacity of 10, and a mobility of 50. It is a sniper of the mythical tier, and it has single shots, piercing shots, and gadget blocker. So gadget blocker is obviously something that's really good to have on most weapons because the other person won't be able to spam their gadgets. Now, why did I want to put this as an honorable mention? Well, this weapon, guys, has a really short range. In fact, I believe you can only be 30 feet away from the person. As you guys can see here, my crosshair is directly on him, but it won't do any damage. So you can get really close and this weapon still won't do any damage. Okay guys, those are my picks for 5 mythical weapons that you probably shouldn't get in Pixel Gun 3D. Let me know down in the comments if you guys do agree with me, or if you guys disagree. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Again, I didn't want to offend anybody, but yeah, I just wanted to make this list to help you guys out. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next time. Hey, do you have Discord? If so, you should definitely join the official Rebirth Discord. The link to it is down in the description. As of right now, we have nearly 2,000 members who are constantly looking for people to play with in the Pixel Gun 3D community. When you join, you can have easy communication with me and everyone else, and it's definitely a really good place to socialize. You know, there's always people who are looking for people to play with, there's always a bunch of good vibes going on, and yeah, this is definitely a good place for you if you have Discord, so what are you waiting for, man? Go join it.